Best way to stay healthy is by making sure you're putting the right thing. Supplements to take. Good news. Cardimax Immune Booster has you
I can't
covered.
hear myself. And
Right
I don't
now,
know if
American
anyone
Party
else can
Podcast listeners get 30% off your next 4 orders. Use the promo code American at cardimax.com. That's CARDOMAX.com, helping you achieve your max.
Your max. So today we're going to do something special. Sorry, Brittany was sending me a terrible joke in my text messages. The joke is, why can't witches get pregnant? And the punchline is because their husbands have Halloweenies. Does anybody else want to kill themselves right now? Or is it just me? Great. It's just me. Nico, I will murder you and your entire family. Lockheed is mandating the jab, and for whatever that my last is, I'll be wearing the Mandate This t-shirt. Well, congratulations. I'm proud of you. That shirt will be available this Friday, actually. And I hope that all of you wear it in good health. So today we're going to do questions and answers. People, we try to keep up with it in the chat, but usually we have a show that we have to get through, and we try to answer a little bit towards the end. But I wanted to give a whole show to you assholes since you show up and watch us every day. Obviously, I can't do it without getting high first, though. So let's get to it here. If you've got a question, it's probably easier if you do the super chat, but if you can't, type it in all caps or something so I can actually see it, because you guys also just talk to each other a lot. And that is difficult. Let's see. Boring Boeing, I assume you mean, announced a mandate. A federal court, I believe, Brittany told me this morning, blocked United's attempt at a mandate. So I don't know. I haven't looked that up yet. What do I see as the repercussions to the encroachment of mandates, not only by government but big business? Well, so firstly, I think that we talked about it a little bit yesterday with the free market and how it's kind of correcting itself right now. The labor market has been in a funk for quite a while now, and I think a lot of it is due to just the polarization of economic policy politically. It shouldn't really be a political issue. I mean, there are some pretty standard things. The left seems to like taking your money in the form of taxes, and the right seems to like taking your money in the form of shitty wages. That has been historically true. The conservative political position, at least outwardly, is that they're for the free market and blah, 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 but that rarely is the case. What usually happens is they come up with these euphemisms like job creators for people that run businesses, and then blame everybody but themselves for when their business fails. If you can't run a business that is profitable and simultaneously pay a living wage for the area you live in, then you don't deserve to run that business, frankly. That's just how it is. So what's going to be the correction? I think that it's a confluence of things, Mike. One is that whole free market situation where it's kind of correcting itself now as people realize they have power. But some of these big organizations that industry depends on, like air travel and trucking and medicine and so on and so forth, even down to the retail level in some degrees, they're experiencing high turnover as well. And what they're going to have to do is pay these people more and give them better benefits. That's just the way it is. You can say what you want about that or how you feel about it, and that's fine. But the reality of the situation is people have realized that they have power now, and they're not going to fucking go back until they're satiated somehow. And I was talking about a little bit yesterday, but the very good thing about this particular situation is that it's a decentralized movement, which means instead of just bargaining with a labor union who has their own best interest in mind and not the interest of the laborers themselves, now it's labor at large. And I don't even mean the labor movement. I mean like people who work all have grown tired of this horse shit, being told that they're not essential from the left and being told to get a second or third job or learn to code or whatever from the right. You know what I mean? It's people are done with that bullshit. So I think there's going to be some very uncomfortable months ahead of us where we can't get the things we want. Some people are going to struggle financially, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, the American economy is robust. And, you know, at some point people have to go back to work. So we'll see. How do we peacefully reset the federal government? I don't think we can peacefully reset the federal government. How do we get corporations and money out of the government? Probably not peacefully, right? I mean, I don't know what the expectation is exactly. But when in the history of the world has somebody been given power or taken power and then given it up without a fight? I'll wait for your answers. I don't think any are coming, though. It just doesn't happen. People don't resign their power. I think the one biggest example of it, maybe in world history, but certainly in American history, is George Washington deciding not to run for a third term. He did that on purpose because he thought, or he was very anti-dynasty, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, or monarchy at least. So, you know, I don't think there's a peaceful solution to this. I don't know what the solution is or what it looks like. A lot of people are talking about this right now and what it might look like in the future. But I'm just not entirely sure. Let's just do a thought experiment. Right? We all of a sudden decide to vote everyone that's in office out of office and put new people in. What are the chances that you can wade through the mire of, as I have said a million times before, people that desire power very rarely deserve it, and people that deserve it very rarely desire it? How do you wade through all that muck and get quality human beings? And then how do you do it again a couple of years later, over and over at this level, right? And then let's say you figure all that out. Now, how do you tear down K Street and stop these? Forget about the elected officials. Forget about Nancy Pelosi. And think about people like, what was his name, Andrew Card? That was George W. Bush's chief of staff. The guy had been in government for like 80 years. All these chiefs of staff and political operatives, as they like to call themselves, who they're the real power brokers in Washington. It's not fucking politicians. Politicians they're puppets for the most part. So provided you could even upset the political system, how are you going to deal with all these bureaucrats that aren't elected? You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a defeatist way. I mean, how do you do it in a way that doesn't upset liberty at large? Because you can't just tell people you can't participate in government anymore because you've been there too long, right? From a non-elected side, how do you legislate that? I just don't know that you can. Let me see. How do we refuse this peaceful but still be successful? Feels like they only respond with violence. If by this you mean mandates and shit like that, you have to make a decision for yourself. Getting vaccinated or not, that's a decision, and deciding if you're going to stand up to this or not is also a decision. There is a price to pay either way. You know, it's a math problem, I guess. I mean, how long can you afford to be out of work while this gets adjudicated in the courts or until you find another job, right? Are you prepared right now to start your own business and, you know, kind of break away from the infrastructure that require that sort of thing? And are you in an area that would allow you to pull your children out of school because, like California, for example, there's no way my child would be going to school in California and getting a mandated vaccine like that we know is ineffective for kids that age. And especially when the governor of the goddamn state apparently hasn't had his daughter vaccinated either. So it's more rules for the... I just don't... Here's the thing, Sam. It's like what most responsible parents teach their children when they're young, especially boys. Don't start fights. But if somebody else starts it, you finish it. Don't fight them back. You finish the goddamn fight. So I guess right now, 2 years from now, we all should have been preparing ourselves for this eventuality, which is to say we should have been finding individual methods of entrepreneurship, new social media channels to advertise in if that's a problem or whatever the case is. And right now, it probably is. I mean, you should definitely be doing that right now. I don't think it's too late, but you're late in the game if you're starting now. And I think right now what you need to be figuring out is how you're going to defend yourself and your family against this bullshit, whether it becomes physical or not. So right now you can just refuse it peacefully, but hope isn't a game plan. So make sure you're ready to fight. I'll say that. How are things going with human trafficking at the border? They're actually way worse now than they were before. We haven't had time to keep up with it, but I do have a whistleblower who's going to come speak to me here pretty soon. And he's worked for a certain agency for a very, very long time. And we're going to get plenty of updates about that and then current policy here pretty soon. I don't have too much for you on that. Hang on a sec. All right. Good Lord. So, hold on, let me find the next one. Sorry, I'm just waiting through Conoco. Matt, is it Chaps or Chapes? Chapes. Thoughts on Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals in the practice of influencing children and how to stop it. This is nothing new, by the way, influencing children. People did it with religion by introducing these fantastical, sophisticated ideas to an unsophisticated mind incapable of forming or mounting an intelligent defense to it. And then people just start to believe that things are true, regardless of whether or not they are. That's a problem. Now, that's what the tobacco industry really got hammered for back in the day. It wasn't necessarily all the cancer and shit. Now, they paid a price for that. But the bigger price they ended up paying was for the marketing. Like, remember Joe Camel? There was this thought that it was designed intentionally to get children to smoke. But that's not a theory. The recorded phone calls and written messages from the attorneys and CEOs from the tobacco industry confirm that. They were trying to get people hooked on stuff as early as possible. And if you don't think these processed food companies, right, that make cereal and whatever the fuck else aren't trying to get kids hooked on whatever their new bullshit is. I mean, it used to be corn syrup. Now I'm sure it's something else. They're trying to get them hooked on it as early as possible, right? Because it's a lot easier to do that. And, from Alinsky's point of view, he was a little ahead of the he was a little ahead of the curve on this by just saying it out loud that, we go into like a low-income neighborhood, for example, where people don't have options, and we feed them our ideology as a means of escape from their shitty situation. You know what that sounds like? It sounds a lot like Al-Qaeda, actually. It sounds like ISIS, because that's what terrorist organizations do. That's what they did in Iraq. Most of the people we fought in Iraq weren't Al-Qaeda. They weren't even insurgents. They were criminals. They were just running, like the biggest organization that we fought in Sadr City was called Jaish al-Mahdi. It's the Mahdi army. So Muqtada al-Sadr, who took over power from his father after he died, controlled Sadr City. Used to be Saddam City, now Sadr City. The primary thing that we ran into there wasn't the targeting of government-friendly forces or any of that bullshit. It was Shia Muslims from the Mahdi army, from Jaish al-Mahdi, running these weird real estate scams which would eventually become not so much a scam but a threat. They would try to buy people's homes, Sunni Muslims' homes, Christians' homes, Assyrian Christians' homes, Kurdish homes, things like that, in that area. And they were trying to spread out. They were going through Shah Bader area, and they were going to continue going until they got to Baghdad and try to rid the country of Sunni by doing that. Like, hey, you can either take this money for your house, or the next time it's like, hey, we're taking your house, you're not getting shit. And the next time is you can leave and die, or leave and go somewhere else and take all your stuff with you, or you can die right now. That's who we were fighting for the most part. So it was poor people, by and large, or these fucking almost industrial scams that were, they were led by anti-government forces for sure. But they were just like poor people who didn't have jobs. They used to be Iraqi army, Iraqi police, or whatever. And now they're just sitting around with their thumb up their butt, and they get to choose between feeding their family and maybe doing some dangerous shit that fucks over Americans who are in their mind an invader in their country or not. And that's how easy it is to program an adult. Now imagine how easy it is to do that to a child, right? That doesn't know any better, that trusts you. And that's, that's what's going on in America right now with all this 1619 intersectionality, fucking critical race theory nonsense. That's all it is. I'm drinking Cartamax in this Topo Chico, by the way. It's delicious. Do maggots get drunk when you bury alcoholics? Probably not. Don't think so. Do I see any kind of civil war really happening? That's a good question. I mean, I don't know what a civil war would even look like. I think we've talked about this a couple times. Like, for real, what would that... It's not like we're going to have the North versus the South or anything. Because that's not a thing anymore. I mean, it doesn't seem like the state, all of the states that would be on the same side are contiguous at this point. So I don't know what that would even look like. You know what I mean? Like, is there going to be a standing army for some, new country that people want to start? I doubt it. I think what's more likely to happen is a series of major nullifications of the federal government, like OSHA regulations. Don't be surprised in the next couple of years if you see Republican governors in states tell OSHA to get the fuck out, or tell federal agents to leave their state. That's going to be the line that gets crossed. That's really going to start requiring some kind of like vigilance on behalf of the population. Whenever federal people start getting booted out of states, that's when shit's going to get real. I don't know if it's going to lead to any kind of armed conflict or not. But, McConaughey was on some show the other day. Sagar was talking about it on his show. And he was talking about, does America even want to be united anymore? Like, do the people who really believe in what's happening in California, that are willing to stay there and fight for that ideology, do they really want to be the same country as Montana or Wyoming or Texas? I would have to say probably not, frankly. I mean, from the vitriol you see primarily from the left these days, where people are being harassed in public, even their own people. This female senator that's getting lit the fuck up everywhere right now because she won't vote for this massive spending bill that we don't even know what the fuck it pays for or how it gets funded. You know what I mean? I don't know. As chief of staff races, probably. But, nullification, that is the key. Now, there's been some subtle nullifications over the years, like weed, for example. Even in California, as late as like 2013, that Amsterdam University place that sold weed but also taught people how to grow it, they got raided like 2 or 3 times between 2011 and 2013, I think. So even that recently, the federal government was still starting to do stuff. And then, Obama finally said, and I think it was in 2015, that they're not going to pursue any kind of legal shit with weed anymore federally. And that was pretty much it. Let's see. Let's see. Anything you could do about the MSM, the true enemy of the people? Yes. Stop watching it entirely. I know I go on Fox News sometimes because I personally happen to like Tucker Carlson as an individual, but I certainly don't support that network. As a matter of fact, screenshotted something they posted the other day. It was really fucking stupid. Give me just a sec here. Let me pull it up. No, it's not that important. So, on Fox Business, it was about vaccine mandates, and this is two paragraphs, one after another. So the first paragraph says, the FAA told Fox Business in a statement that there haven't been any air traffic staffing shortages reported since Friday, right? And then the next paragraph is a quote from the FAA saying, flight delays and cancellations occurred for a few hours Friday afternoon due to widespread severe weather, military training, and limited staffing in one of the Jacksonville air route traffic control centers. So literally from one paragraph to the next, they've shown that the FAA is lying, and they don't follow it up with anything. They don't ask another question. They don't point out the fact that they've just blatantly lied about everything. And I think there are some things that even Fox News won't go after, no matter how fucked up it is on the left. You've seen some of this stuff before, some stuff that they just won't delve into, and I don't know if it's because of corporate interest or if there's pressure to do stuff over there. I have no idea, but I think the best thing you can do is not watch them. Because, look, the reason CNN pivoted hard from being pretty moderate to going wild on Republicans is because of clicks. It was social media, right? They figured out that people hated a lot harder than they loved, at least on the internet, or at least people are more likely to watch content that pissed them off and made them happy for some reason. I don't know why. But, if you stop watching it, they'll stop making it. We need to get back to legitimate Christian values and ethics. Boy, come on. Which Christian values are those exactly? The ones where women are subjugated to their husbands? The fuck out of here with that nonsense. Like, what the fuck? Which Christian? I would be curious. I don't want to denigrate you specifically. Christianity is nonsense, but tell me which Christian values exactly. The ones that describe in detail how you should treat your slaves? I don't know. Let's see. Term limits for all elected officials at all levels. I actually think the president is the only level of office that should not have a term limit, because that doesn't really make any sense. The president's power is pretty comically limited, or at least it should be. And it's, once every 4-year vote. I think that's, I don't know. I think there's, more importantly than term limits, we could just put an age limit. Like, if you're beyond the age of retirement, you're no longer eligible to hold office. I think that is a reasonable thing to do, because, frankly, I want to be led by somebody who has something invested in the future still, instead of just borrowing money like there is no tomorrow. That would be great. Has OSHA even implemented and published in the Federal Register the new official regs? That's a good question, actually. I don't have any information on that specifically, but technically, for an OSHA regulation to be enforceable, it has to be published in such a manner. So if they haven't put it out yet, that means it is currently unenforceable, regardless of edict, because we don't do edicts in this country. How would I hold the media accountable for false or misleading articles without infringing on freedom of press? That is a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, the easy solution is to fine them if they do this stuff, but who's the they that's fining them? Because I don't trust the government to decide what is and isn't true. Obviously, I don't think any of us can. I don't know if there is an arbiter of truth that I trust. So if there isn't an arbiter of truth that you trust, then take that off the table, holding them accountable for false or misleading articles. That's what's happening right in front of your eyes right now on social media. They're doing it right now. They're doing what you want, or not you specifically, but they're doing what a lot of Republicans want to do. They're just doing it to Republicans. If this was happening in the other direction and liberals' opinions were being, shadow banned or whatever the case is, I doubt conservatives would be raising so much of a stink. But they should be, right? An attack on one person's liberty is an attack on all liberty. So I don't know that there's a way to do that. I think the alternative is, instead of trying to hold them accountable, it's to take away what they value, which is attention. Eyeballs. That's what sells ad dollars. Eyeballs. So when somebody forwards you that clip of Rachel Maddow saying the dumbest shit you've ever heard in your fucking life, or Chris Hayes or one of these other cunts, just say, no, thank you, and move on with your day. Go watch a video of fucking cats wrestling or something. And empower yourself with the truth is the second part of that. Know what the fuck you're talking about. Don't get into arguments with people that you know you're going to lose because you don't have the information. You should know the information. Otherwise, what the fuck are you talking about? Let's see here. When I was at Bragg, what was my favorite strip club or bar? I didn't really go to strip clubs, but Jared and I went to Patty's on a pretty regular basis. He was friends with Patty and Bill, so we did quite a bit of that stuff. Quite a bit of stupid shit, actually, while we were there. Let's see her. There will have to be a grace period. Yep. Long can you see them changing their definition to consider? Oh, that's another thing. I've actually been writing about this lately. I haven't published any of it, but I think we need to have a quick update on the words that we've all been using recently. So the media, even Fox, continues to use the phrase ongoing pandemic. There is no ongoing pandemic. That is not true. These numbers have been decreasing. And as we've mentioned to you many, many times over the course of the last year and a half, they cherry-pick the numbers, whether it's raw data, whether it's infections or deaths or percentage increases or whatever the fuck that make them look better, and then they hide everything else. So this shit is over. There's probably going to be some kind of spike in the Northeast United States over the next 3 or 4 months. But this shit's over. And it begs the question, why are we making permanent policy changes for a temporary situation? Why are we? I mean, the why is obvious. It's money and power. It always is. It's money to the pharmaceutical industries that will find its way back to Washington. Don't worry about that. And power, the power to tell you what to do. And I think we make the mistake, conservatives and libertarians and just people who are on the side of liberty, generally speaking, make the mistake of assuming that this is some kind of evil and not just an overprotective Karen attitude. I don't think that's evil. Now, the outcome, in my opinion, is evil, but that doesn't make the intent evil. And that does make a difference, and it should make a difference to you, because when somebody's doing something stupid that they don't fully understand the consequences of, you have to stop them, yes. But you stop them in a different way than you would a terrorist. And our conversations have devolved into calling parents who want their kids to learn actual history and not nonsense terrorists. You know what I mean? Or I think some news publication yesterday referred to the Southwest pilots not showing up as terrorists, domestic terrorists, they're bordering on domestic terrorism by shutting down domestic air travel. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. So there's no ongoing pandemic. That is nonsense. Also, to your point, and the reason I brought this up, the phrase fully vaccinated doesn't actually mean anything anymore, does it? What does fully vaccinated mean? Because now you got to get a booster. So fully vaccinated now has gone from getting your 1 or 2 shots to have you had the latest one? And what does that sound like? It sounds like you've signed up for some subscription service that you can't figure out how to cancel. Fuck that shit. God damn it, man. It's a good question. The definition to fully vaccinated has already changed to exactly what you're talking about. The phrase fully vaccinated is now a part of the American lexicon, and they can just change the definition whenever they want. Like, you have to be up to date on your shots. What does that mean? They put out the list of shots and what the dates are. So they didn't have to make a law that you have to get these shots. They made a law that you have to be fully vaccinated. And now they redefine what fully vaccinated means on the regulatory side, not on the legal side. See how that happens? It's like pulling the rug right out from under you. Craig, I didn't see your comment. Let's see. PC says there's no actual mandate other than words from an old man, yet all these companies are jumping for it. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I don't understand why. There's got to be some kind of leverage. I mean, look, I wonder how many of these large companies have government contracts that they're going to stand to lose if they don't do it. Cartamax. Speaking of Cartamax, I guess we could do some ads right quick while you turds are sitting here listening to me babble. Hang on. Oh, look at that. Today's the 13th, right? Yeah. Well, obviously, Cartamax Immune Booster is, it's that time of year here in Texas. Have you been dealing with any allergies yet? Fucking
Cedar fever?
Yeah, cedar fever's coming soon. Kane is walking around hawking up loogies and shit. It's pissing me off. Like the noise in his lungs when he coughs. I'm going to punch him in the chest. But a better option is probably just to get your immune booster up. When you wake up with a cough, sore throat, annoying symptoms for no reason other than it got a little colder, immune booster helps with stuff like that. Promotes homeostasis. Makes sure that the vitamins in your body that help with muscle endurance and adapting to stressors, managing cortisol, for example, and other immune benefits. It helps with all that stuff. Also tastes really good. I'm a big fan of the orange one. But there's also watermelon. Comes in easy to mix liquid packet, like all of your favorite Cartamax products. So Cartamax is offering American Party an exclusive offer, 30% off your next 4 orders. Go to Cartamax.com. Use the promo code American. That's CARDOMAX.com. Use the promo code American. You will get 30% off each of your next 4 orders. Cartamax.com. And we got GhostBed, obviously. Those deals are crazy. I don't know what's going on with these people. They've been doing it for years now, just giving us great deals on everything. They have a 35% off deal right now for everything on the site. Ghostbed.com/DrinkItBros. 40% off the bundle package, which is if you buy a adjustable base and a mattress, and then everything else you buy with it, 40% off. Everything else is 35%. You can try it out if you buy a mattress for 101 nights. If you don't like it, they'll take it back. I don't know why you would go that long. Figure you should know within the first couple of days probably if you like a goddamn mattress or not. They're all cooling mattresses. They get the best sheets, best pillows in the world. We've got like 15 of those pillows now. So go to ghostbed.com/DrinkItBros and get them deals. All right, let's see here. These comments all come out of order, so bear with me. Okay, let's see. Are we seeing a pseudo-Patriot Act 2.0, IRS monitoring financial accounts, medical mandates, DHS, definitions of domestic threats? Caleb Crow. I think it's, like I said, you treat people who come at you sideways different than you treat people who come at you ignorant, typically. And I think a lot of this is panic. I think people who are in charge feel like they should be, which is a problem because nobody should ever feel like you should have to prove to everyone, including yourself, every single day that you belong in a position of leadership. And these people have, obviously, politicians are cunts. They've long forgotten that premise. But a lot of it does come from trying to protect people. And that's a problem too, right? Because people find that somebody was holding a sign. It's been memed out now, but somebody was holding a sign at some event the other day, and it says, "Is your freedom more important than safety?" Like, yeah, bitch, it is. That's why we go die for it. The fuck are you talking about? Jesus Christ, that's dumb. But yeah, it's a lot of it is, I think, kind of a pseudo Patriot Act 2.0. Like Patriot Act was a law, right? And most of it was classified. Most of the really effective parts were classified, but it was. This is regulation now, which is way different. Like a law means that 435 people in Congress have to agree to it in a majority, and then another 100 people in the Senate have to agree to it in a majority, sometimes a supermajority, and then the president has to sign it. A regulation, particularly when coming through the executive branch, is controlled exclusively by the president, and the only way you can get around that is through the courts. So I think it's far more dangerous than the Patriot Act, right? Because it's allowing Bush to just declare war whenever he felt like it gave the president enormous power. This is another power grab from the executive branch. So be wary of that. We don't do kings here. We destroy them. So keep that in mind. Do you think the attempts at Feds, IRS, he retracted it. You said something about crypto in there. I think, yeah, there probably is some level of concern at the federal government level about cryptocurrency. I would think so. I mean, I don't know how you handle that, though, frankly. I thought most guys liked it when Bush declares war. Is that like something about hairy pussy or something? I don't know what that means. Does anybody know what that means? Where the fuck is everybody today?
I think Bob's wife had a haircut that went long.
Oh, boy. All right. Do I think the split of Czechoslovakia would serve as a good model for national disillusion? I don't know. It's a good question. I haven't really looked into that particular split. I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the stuff that happened in the Cold War, or rather post-Cold War, and how that worked for everybody. As far as splitting up the Soviet Union, that was kind of just by force, not by force, but by circumstance. Like you had to, right? The Soviet government was done, so they couldn't handle that shit anymore. So I think that was a little bit more problematic for them. Czechoslovakia was more like, hey, they decided, whether peacefully or otherwise. Obviously, it wasn't always peacefully, but to split on their own. I'll have to look into that. It's a good question. I'll look into that and answer you at a later date. Do I invest in crypto? No, I do not. Not because I follow it, just because I think that more so than what it might be as a currency at some point, I think the underlying technology of cryptocurrency is super important to the future of humanity, and especially the United States. So, yes, I think that crypto is super important. I don't want to be financially involved in it because I prefer to monitor it and see how it might be useful. I don't want my welfare as a human being to be wrapped up in it because it clouds my judgment, if that makes any sense. What do I think about Pfizer leveraging South American countries' military bases and federal infrastructure in order to get the thing? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, what do I think about that? What do I think about Facebook allowing China to fucking ban users, ban content, murder fucking Uyghur Muslims and blah, 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 and still operate in their country? What do I think about the United States government continuing to buy oil from Saudi Arabia and maintain a relationship with them while they're throwing gay people off rooftops and subjugating women? You know what I mean? I don't like it. That's what I think about it. I think they're a bunch of fucking useless cunts. I think if there are some times when you have to I suppose, be morally ambiguous, right? For example, if Saudi Arabia had a civil war. There probably is a humane way for us to intervene in that. There's probably a side that we would prefer over another side. There's a lot of interests involved, and there's a lot of ethics involved as well. But the most ethical thing I think you can do is leave it to itself. If your two cultures are incongruent, like we're not going to go install a fucking democracy in one of these Middle Eastern countries. It's not going to happen. It's not how they think. You're trying to overturn thousands of years of political evolution. It's just not going to work. So sometimes the best thing you can do is let the kid make the mistake or let the person fight their own battles. Think about authoritarianism in the Middle East the same way you would think about a drug addict. Like, they're only going to fucking help themselves when they're ready to. And there's nothing you can do to move them farther or faster to that point. And that's a lesson we've learned harshly in blood over the last 20 years, but I hope it's one that people fucking remember. Let's see here. Oop, it skipped forward on me. Jonathan Hall, you didn't ask a question, bud. You just put money in there. I appreciate it, but I'm not sure what your question is. Do I think Lázaro Lopez is the voice of a new sexual generation? Yes, I do. It's if we had to elect anybody as president, it'd probably be him. Because he just wants to party all the time. And I know Lopez. He's a very upstanding human being despite being a total dirtbag. It's surprising how often that happens. Like Kirill from Assholes Live Forever is one of the best human beings that I know, most generous people I know. But he's a total piece of shit. It's funny how that works out. I think there's something to not having to pretend to be what everybody else wants you to, or that really allows you to just be kind to other people, and something that people miss. But Lopez is a good dude. He would be a good president because, we would just party. Bill Schofield asks, is cereal soup? No, and you're not invited to our next game because of that, for that stupid question. Fuck you guys. Hot dog's not a sandwich. It's a goddamn hot dog. Words exist for a reason. Motherfucker. Let's see what else is in here. Doop. Look, I know that it might seem to the uninitiated that I bounce back and forth from liberal to conservative positions, but I don't give a fuck about that. There is a right and wrong answer to every question. You know what I mean? And the exactness of that right and wrong answer diminishes the more people you add to the equation. Right? So the larger the group of people, the more disparate their opinions are going to be. There reaches a breaking point where you have too many people of too disparate a viewpoint to govern under one branch or under one system of government. That's just how it is. It has to be like that. Why would we think that the U.S. system of government is infinitely scalable? It shouldn't be. No government should be infinitely scalable. That's a world government. That's a universal government. Would anybody even want that? You want to be governed at the lowest possible level, right? So I don't care about this shit. I don't care about Republicans or Democrats or that stupid bullshit. What I care about is answers to questions that are real answers that actually fix shit. Like, does it suck to have to surrender some land you won in war at the end of the war as a part of a peace treaty? Yeah, it sucks. It's happened throughout history. Not so much recently over the last 40 or 50 years or so, but throughout all the rest of human history that has been the case. And I'm sure for soldiers and the families of soldiers who died, that sucked. I'm sure for, patriots, that sucks. But it is the reality of that situation. Just the way it is. So accept what reality is and start making decisions based on that. Stop fucking around with what ought to be. So in the world, there is and there is ought. There are the facts, and then there are what the facts should be. Now, you may be able to influence the facts to some degree to get them closer to or even near or at ought in some situations, but not most, frankly. And dealing with the world as it is a far superior model. Would you rather somebody tell you that fire's not hot or put out the fire? Pretty easy solution right there, right? That's an extreme example. But there is a solution to every one of these questions. It just might not be a solution for everybody. But why would it be? Think about functional medicine. Think about diet. That no two types of functional medicine, no diet is going to be perfect for everyone, every single person. People are different. Even at the basic level of functionality of our bodies, we're different. So imagine the complexity of the brain and how we think and what that might look like. Of course it's going to be fucking crazy, disparate. So then the function of government has to be shredded all the way down to basic needs that everyone has, right? We need common defense. We need roads and shit like that. That's pretty much it. Healthcare. So why is the government passing like regulations and shit? Why are they levying civil penalties against people that are just fines? I mean, this is the civil penalties and fines and regulation. That is the cornerstone of authoritarianism throughout all of human history. The king has frivolously spent too much money on wars or building a palace, and now, hey, we got to go tax the people again. We need a little bit more money. Fuck that shit. Let's see. What's causing the shipping issues at the ports? Did we suddenly forget how to load, unload ships? I don't know if it's a deliberate supply chain disruption or not, DJ, but it sure is fucked, isn't it? I mean, I can't tell if it's... I haven't seen enough evidence to suggest that it's workers striking or people being held out of ports or something else.
From what I've heard, it's lack of workers at the docks to be able to move.
That's what I've heard as well, but I mean, even that I can't prove, so I don't know. I mean, honestly, I know a bunch of drinker bros that would love to go be stevedores and make the kind of money they make. Remember season 2 of The Wire, where all the shipping is going away and everybody's butthurt and stuff? Man, they would kill. Nikki Sabatka would kill for this opportunity.
Bails up, you mix.
Yeah. Frank Sabatka would, nope. That's Alec Baldwin. Yeah, it's Alec Baldwin. Yeah, they would love that. So it's hard for me to believe that the type of people that do stevedore work are all of a sudden not available. I don't believe that. So those two things are incongruent with me. I don't know. Let's see. Do I think I'll be stabbed by Brittany sometime in your sleep? Throughout the relationship? Probably, yeah. Probably. Giants or Dodgers? That's a good question, man. Who's going for the Giants, Bob?
It's for the Giants. It's Webb. It's game 1 again.
So
Webb.
Webb and Scherzer though, right?
No, Urias.
Damn, I don't know.
Same matchup as game 1.
That's a fucking good matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the best series that we've seen in a long time at the DS level. Jesus Christ. If I had to guess, I would say probably the Dodgers. Overall, they're the better team. It's unlikely that Webb shuts down the same team like that back-to-back games. I mean, he's a good pitcher and all, but they've seen him now. So unless he's got some ace up his sleeve, I don't know, man. I would have to go Dodgers. What do you guys think? I think Dodgers.
My heart that's been broken a lot of times.
I know you want you don't want it to be the Dodgers.
Yeah, that tells me it's the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's the Dodgers. What do you think the odds are that with massive quitting, the government tries to make a law saying you can't quit your job, a la Atlas Shrugged? I think that would be a big mistake by the government. They would get overrun by armed people probably if they tried to do something like that, is what I think. That's fucking stupid. But you look, a lot of stuff that's stupid has happened recently, so who knows? Maybe they will try that. I think one power that people have is to quit working for the goddamn government entirely. If you're a contractor out there, stop taking government I honestly I'm not trying to call anybody specifically out right now, but if you're out there doing government contracts right now and spending money on the government, why? Why are you doing that? Why are you giving them more money, more power? Why? I think you should ask yourself that question. Is your comfort right now in the business you're building or have built, or the job you're doing, or the paycheck you're earning worth that? Is your temporary comfort worth that? I would say probably not, but I'm not in that position, so it's not for me to say. I understand people are not just going to throw away their entire lives over principles sometimes, but, you know, the great revolutions in American history and world history, that's exactly what's had to happen, is that people have had to say, you know what, I'm going to eat less for a while and sleep in the cold for a while, or whatever the case is, until blah, 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 right? To go fight wars or go the early framers of the Constitution working in American politics and then fucking off and letting other people run it. Stuff like that. Let's see. Looking for more questions here. Astros are going to take it this year. They might. They look great. They look very good. The White Sox, conversely, did not look good. They looked terrible. They looked disjointed. They looked like there was no leader on that team. It was very bizarre for a team coached by Tony La Russa, one of the great leaders in baseball history. Do I think why will the Astros win the World Series? I like how you worded that question. I don't necessarily think they will. I think if it's Astros, Dodgers, I think it would be hilarious if the Astros won, to be honest, because the Dodgers talked a lot of shit about all that cheating bullshit. And it would be funny for the Astros to beat them again and then be like, what now, or whatever. But I think it will probably be the Astros and Dodgers in the World Series, and I think that the Dodgers will probably win. Do I feel or think we could be heading to some form of gulag re-education camps in our country in the future? Look, anything's possible. You should be prepared for any eventuality. I would say buy and carry a gun is a good way to stop that shit. But, you know, it's not all about force. Ideas get shut down faster with better ideas than they do with force. You can see that from the opposite side, too, when people try to censor. Like that Hunter Biden laptop thing with the New York Post. That story got 6 times more coverage than it would have, according to some data scientists, if they had just let it run. I mean, look at how short people's attention span is. And that's a big fucking problem now, too, right? This short attention span we have. When our week consisted of 9 to 5 work, I would rather have pot roast for dinner than meatloaf. Thank you very much. When our only source of content was the one time per week, maybe per month, that we and the family went to a ball game or to the drive-in theater or whatever, or went out for poker night with the boys or whatever your fucking entertainment was for that week, then your brain wasn't completely addicted to dopamine all the time. Now we need dopamine hits all the time, which also means that when we're not getting one of those dopamine hits, the information we're taking in doesn't have the same effect on our brain, even if it's something we believe fundamentally, right? It still doesn't affect us the same way. I'm not going to tell anybody to unplug because it's unrealistic these days. What I am saying is, if you pay attention to the way things affect you, you can change the way they affect you, which I think is a far better strategy to combat addiction than abstinence. Abstinence doesn't work, ever. It just doesn't. People that have to completely avoid certain things, there's still such a great power that it has over them. I know I talked a lot of shit the other week, joking around and stuff, but that part I mean. You give it immense power over yourself. And people like that almost always relapse at some point. right? You're not dealing with the problem. You're just avoiding it. And it doesn't work, right? So we have to really think about the way we think. Try to track back in your mind, like, I'm angry right now. What made me angry specifically? Does it make sense that it made me angry, or am I just used to reacting this way? Let's see here. Stabs me every night, if you know what I mean. She's talking about with my wiener. My penis. You are HPOA, which I assume means hot piece of ass, since the O was small, and that is good punctuation as well in grammar. I appreciate the fact that the articles and prepositions would not be capitalized. All right. You think those working in government should have a pay system like the military? Nobody working in government should be making millions. I don't think the people in government are making millions because of their government paychecks. They're making millions because, like Nancy Pelosi, Jesse Waters just lit her ass up again. He's kind of a partisan guy, but he does say some pretty funny shit sometimes. Her wealth has increased from like 112 million to 180 million to 315 million over the last 3 years. And there's all kinds of shady connections about how her husband has been shorting the market and buying stuff in the market right before things are implemented that she fucking voted on. You know what I mean? That's the issue. I'm not worried about regular dicks who are working for the government. I think that there should be a moratorium. If you serve in public office, or if you are a bureaucrat in public office, meaning a chief of staff or something like that, then you're not allowed to invest in the market ever, because it's a duty and a service. It's not a job. It's not. Whenever government becomes entrepreneurial, then you're fucked, because policy starts getting driven by money. How much pressure do you think the Bush administration was under, and then the Obama administration after, to not stop the war? From outside influences, from money that they needed to get reelected, right? And remember, they feel like they have to get reelected because the other side is evil or whatever. All of these things conflate together and butt fuck all of us right into oblivion. Let's see. What sources of information do I use, or do I frequent that the public can use? Let's see. I mean, I look at everything. I read CNN. I read MSNBC. I read fucking Fox. But mostly I go to news aggregators, like Drudge and Google News, just to see what the headlines are, and then I go research stuff for myself. I mean, I'll Google stuff and look for the results and see what people have to say. Then I'll go to DuckDuckGo and see what those people are saying, and then I'll go to what people consider fringe or whatever people like Alex Jones and others like that, and see what they're saying, because he's broken more news than fucking Anderson Cooper has. Let's be real about that. So I look at all those things, and I use basic human intelligence to figure out what the fuck is going on, because I don't think you're going to find a single news resource that just has everything right. Why would you? We're in a world full of generalists now. Nobody's going to be right about everything. Excuse me. All right, let's see. What's your over-under on how long it is before we get in a tick with China? People ask that question about Russia for fucking 40 years, and it never happened. So, never. It's not going to happen. Both countries have way too much to lose, and the people who really control the government aren't going to let it go that far. They play off the chaos and the conflict, but they can't deal with that kind of upset. It wouldn't work. It would disrupt their businesses too much. Let's see. Why Imperial Girl? Because I am an environmental analyst, excuse me. And working as a contractor to the federal government allows me to find a better balance as opposed to the government plowing through where they want. Yeah, that's fair enough. So you're saying that you're trying to make some kind of dent in the bullshit. I get it. Got no problem with that. Let's see. Yesterday was my birthday. Dan, will you please say one sentence with my name, Moistly Johnny, in it before you end this? I just did. So there you go. I don't know the story behind Freedom Flu. I'm not on Twitter, so I don't follow that nonsense because, as Dave Chappelle so aptly put, Twitter is not a real place. Let's see. I would question, though, Imperial Girl, why the government has an environmental analyst in the first place. Why is that the government's job? Or why is it their purview? Why does the government have land? Land can't belong to a government. That doesn't make sense. Land belongs to people. It belongs to all people, but it certainly belongs to people, not governments. People on Instagram keep requesting your thoughts on Australia camps. I mean, I don't know what else I can say about that shit. They're fucking totalitarians. Australia got it started in the past. And think about all the things that were conspiracy theories just about a year ago. You know what I mean? Like there's quite a list. I'm going to pull one of them up here because it's really funny. Hang on just 1 second. Just 1 second. Just looking for the list. Here we go. The internet is really slow here. Again. God damn it. Okay, so these things were considered conspiracy theories about a year ago. COVID passports, right? Medical apartheid, so people being given different medical treatment because of their status from vaccination. Being banned from leaving countries or restricted movement, and not being able to work without a COVID passport. All these things are now true for some, if not a lot of people. So those are all true now. So when people say over and over and over again that you're not getting our guns because we know what comes next, we don't need to imagine what that might look like anymore. You can just turn on the news and watch what's happening in Australia. That's what I think. Where are all the men? A lot of answers to that question, but I'll keep it brief. First, there's been a 40% reduction in overall testosterone over the last 25 years, probably due to the plastics that hold our food. That seems to be the prevailing theory right now. So the thing that makes men, testosterone, is on the decline rapidly. We've lost almost 40% at this point, which is why I take supplements, and all of you should as well. The second part is there's social currency involved in being a pussy now. It's very bizarre how that's worked. But it's not just that. There's also social currency involved and earned by attacking masculinity. That's just like a fucking trope now. You attack masculinity, like, oh, it's the patriarchy. I mean, think about that. Think about how offensive it is to just randomly blame all of your problems on men, like an entire half of the fucking world. Not only is it offensive, but it's also pathetic. Do I think the Braves can get past the Giants or the Dodgers? Yeah, I do, actually. I think they have the pitching to do it. I just don't know if you shut down I think they could beat the Giants. I don't know if they could beat the Dodgers.
Probably the best Braves 1, 2, 3 in the playoffs in 25 years.
Yeah, sure. And they don't even have what's probably their best pitcher, Mike Soroka.
Right.
But, yeah, I think they could probably get through the Giants more easily than the Dodgers because that lineup is just fucking wild, man. There's 3 or 4 dudes in the Giants lineup that could really hurt you in pretty much any situation. There's other people that over the course of a season will collectively hurt you enough to win games, but the Dodgers 1 through fucking 9 sometimes, if they go DH, can beat you. Every single person. So fuck that shit. All right, let's see. Do I think Biden will die before his term is up? I don't know. Who knows? And will Harris make the country worse, or how much worse? Huge fan of the show. Thank you. I don't know. That's a good question. I can't predict whether or not someone's going to die or not. I do know that I doubt that Harris would be able to make the country worse. One, she's too stupid, which is one thing. But two, Biden is kind of an effigy for the old Democratic Party that all these Democrats that are currently buying into the fucking horse shit progressiveness that's going on, that's why they voted for him, because they're like, oh, he's a fucking establishment guy. He's not going to allow that shit. Well, he's allowing it constantly, right? Probably because he's not capable of disallowing it. That's probably the real answer. But if she was in there, then nothing would get done. Like, nothing would ever get passed through Congress. They would shut down the entire government to stop that woman. So, no, I don't think she could make it worse. Although, I guess it depends on what you mean by worse. All right, I got time for one more question. Somebody fucking paid for one, probably, so I should look at that one. Where are they? How do I see all the super chats? God damn it. Shoes or flip-flops? Definitely flip-flops. Shoes or foot prisons. Would I rather have Trump or DeSantis? I'll take neither, thank you. But if I had to choose between the two, I would take DeSantis. Let's see. God damn it. Oh, here it is. You guys think y'all will make the flights this weekend and everything will even out eventually? I don't know. I highly doubt we're going to make flights this weekend, frankly, based on what I've seen so far. But will it even out eventually? Yeah, of course it will. It has to. They can't fucking get around that shit. How close are we to be permanently fucked as a country? We're about 5 years into it. So, there you go. Cream pie or toaster strudel? A little bit of both. Like, I like the cream pie Brittany, and then we get up and make and eat toaster strudels together. You can get Somorlin on the internet, Anon, pretty easily, actually. Just go search for it. It's not hard to find. All right, I got to get out of here. We got another show. Tune in for Drinking Bros. Are we going live with this one? Yep. Yeah, we're going live at 1 p.m. Central. And what's the man's name?
Doug Ellen.
And he did.
Creator of Entourage.
There we go. He basically satirized Mark Wahlberg's life and made a fuckload of money doing it. And also Ari. Oh, man. I'm not sure. Well, Mark Wahlberg was the goddamn executive producer, so he knew everything was going. I don't think that his agent necessarily knew, right?
Ari Emanuel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or approved of. I don't know.
Fun fact.
He comes off like kind of a dick, but also very good at his job, so it's hard to say if he was really...
Hyper competent.
Very competent, yes.
If you didn't know this, by the way, Ari Gold, real life Ari Gold.
Yeah. Ari Emanuel, yeah.
His brother's Rahm Emanuel.
Yep, sure is. Former mayor of Chicago and chief of staff for Osama bin... Nope. Barack Obama. All right, same guy. So, can I guest co-host next time Dr. Myers out? Sure. Fly to Austin. We're going to... go get set up for this next show, but you guys tune in. It's going to be fun. And I'll see you in hell.